Welcome into the Daily Roto Sharks podcast. I'm Jeremy Kahn, yet again doing another big slate for a Friday. You can follow me on Twitter at JeremyCahn1057. With me, it's a Cuppable Hoosier. All right, so you got to tell me, this is our first time doing the pod together. Where's the nickname come from? You a big Cubs fan?
I'm a Cubs fan, so lovable loser, and I'm a Hoosier fan, so Cuppable Hoosier.
A nice little pun there.
Oh,
so we have Bill with us tonight.
Last about buying it.
Yeah. We have Bill with us tonight, and then we'll have a chance to get into the Cubs. It's an interesting slate because as I was looking over things, we'll have some chalky options. Max Scherzer's on the slate. People have been falling in love with Alex Wood, who just happens to be going up against Jake Arrieta. I'm a Baltimore guy, if you don't know that. So the wind's blowing out in Houston, and it's a juicy matchup with Kevin Gausman, who's absolutely sucked ass this entire season, which caught all of us fans in Baltimore by surprise. And then there's a couple other big names on this pitching slate and kind of figure out what's going on with DeGrom, who got pushed back a day. Last time that happened with Syndergaard, he got absolutely annihilated and ended up on the DL. And Tanaka's going as well. It's something we'll touch on because he's been awful. But let's start it off with Scherzer and what I assume is going to be chalk and a lot of cash games. People are going to be taking Max Scherzer. Obviously, there's huge upside there. They're taking on the Padres, Nats Padres. Wind's kind of blowing out a little bit, about 12 miles an hour towards right field. That could change. Could be a little swirling winds. I know we've had a ton of rain in the D.C. metro area here in Baltimore and D.C. Padres implied run totals at 3.1. The Nats are at 5. A lot of people were jumping all over the bats in the early game today. Give me your thoughts on, do you like any of the bats on the Nats side? And is Scherzer a must-play for you? Any one-offs from San Diego?
If you're playing cash, you absolutely have to play Scherzer. I don't think you hesitate at all. The K upside's there. I mean, he's averaging, let me pull it up here real fast. If you like the strikeouts per 9, 11.3 per 9. I know,
yeah, they're okay.
I know San Diego can tend to strike out some there with guys like Renfroe and Myers. I would not even hesitate. Scherzer would be straight cash for me, even at his price. Batters, the Nationals, every time I play them, it's a little spotty. I forced Murphy in today, and it was a dumb idea. But
well, we were talking last night, and I said I don't think I ever roster Anthony Rendon, and he is on some kind of heater right now. I even said it today where it looked like the Nats' offense was slow against Ariel Miranda, and everybody thought they were going to just blow up. And lo and behold, they finally get a run, and it happens to be on a Rendon homer yet again. Where's this coming from?
I was on Rendon because I thought he was underpriced at $3,200 today. He's starting to creep up. He'll be $3,500.
Yeah.
The Nationals, I'm not a big Perdomo believer. I've used him a few times, and he's done well, but I'm not a huge believer in him. I still think that they can cover the spread for the five runs or whatever they're total. I definitely like the lefties. I think my favorite one off, though, if I took one, would be Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Unless you're feeling crazy, normally I like to throw a head stack out there, but against Scherzer, I'm never fond of throwing one out there.
Well, the one thing with Scherzer is he tends to give up the long ball. I mean, and I know some people buy into it. I don't like taking, and I know people have done it with Sale as well, the one off and the other team and hoping that maybe they pop one out, you get your strikeout upside. I don't know if you play that game. Is there anybody you would look at that could pop one out off of Scherzer?
Will Myers would be the one. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher. I mean, Myers has the power to hit a home run off anybody, but I'm not in love with him at all.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next game.
I mean, if you really wanted to get risky, Schimpf, he's a fly ball hitter. It's a fly ball pitcher. You know it's going to be in the air. Is it going to be far enough? So he'd be another one-off risk I would look at.
All right. Let's move on. It's Yankees and A's. A lot of people playing the early slate were all over the Yankees against the Royals today, but that obviously got washed out. The Yankees have an implied run total of 5.2 runs. The A's are at 3.9. It's Tanaka versus Graveman. Tanaka not getting the K upside that he's had in years past. And when you look at him, I mean, the ERA is very chunky. I mean, he's been knocked around a bit. Yankees are a heavy favorite in this matchup. You liking any of these lefty bats for the Yankees? Thinking about stacking up. It looks like the wind's blowing out the center about 10 miles an hour. And tell me your thoughts on the A's.
Wait a minute. I'm not seeing – hold on here. I might be having a malfunction.
You don't have Yankees or A's?
I'm not seeing it.
Okay. All right. Well, so here's what I have. I've got Tanaka at 8.1K. I guess that's on DraftKings. Kendall Graveman at 5.5.
I have he's in athletics. What'd you say? Sorry.
I've got Tanaka and Graveman.
Okay, there we go. I got it. I had to glitch my thing and it wasn't pulling them up.
Okay.
Refresh.
Now, do you like anybody on either side? I mean, the Yankees, it's always a favorite there, obviously, with the implied run total at 5.2. I think people will be all over them.
Yeah, I actually like the A stack a little bit here. Tanaka he seems to be getting hit lately. I mean, I'm not real big on using Tanaka. I know there's K potential there with him, but Graveman, I'm not too much of a believer. I mean, the Yankees can't strike out and he can rack it up, but I definitely like the Yankee bats the most there. I do think they'll carry some tournament weight, but they always seem to be under-owned for the most part, especially on a slate like tomorrow, as big as it is with some of the implied run totals. I think you could get them at a little bit of a discount, seeing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams already over 5, so they could get overlooked because they're not the sexy pick.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about in our group chat with Daily Roto Sharks that all the shortstop home runs we saw tonight, which was kind of crazy on the night slate. But I guess you're still waiting for Sanchez to kind of get going. I mean, home run here or there. Aaron Judge got off to the hot start. He's cooled down somewhat, but their prices went up pretty high, and you're going to have to pay a hefty. You got to find some good value pitching, especially if you're on DraftKings and you got to start 2 guys.
Hicks always seems to be a good play. He always seems to come through when I use him. Especially if he's higher in the order in that 2 hole, I really love him. 8, you can get him at a lower ownership, so I don't mind him either place, even being at home at the 8 spot if he's there.
Where do you sit on Chris Davis of the A's? Because I know he hit a home run. I don't know if it was yesterday or it was recent, but he went on that cold streak and his price dropped all the way down. I think on FanDuel right around 3,000, but now it's slowly creeping back up where he belongs.
I'm on the Chris since May 18th. He's been heating up 24, 9, 25, 0. Or he didn't start there, I don't think. Oh, no, he did 0, 18, 22. He's starting to find his swing. I'm tempted to write it as a one-off.
Yeah,
Tanaka's just terrible to me.
Yeah, he's been awful all year.
No faith in him at times.
All right. And the other interesting thing, Yonder Alonso, any interest from him as well? Where I don't know where this power surge came from this year. Maybe we'll find out later in the season, but he's been punching him out left and right.
Pender's been playing quite well lately. He's another name to keep an eye on for the A's.
Yeah, I heard the statistic the other day. He has the second highest exit velocity of any player in baseball. So that's not something you consider with a guy like Pender, but yeah.
Tied with Judge or something like that up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been playing well. I know his sample size is pretty low, but I'm tempted to ride the hot streak until he starts to slow down. Same thing like Adam Frazier. I think the guys are going to produce. I might as well try to look to get him, especially at a cheap price, $2,900.
And Frazier hit another one today, so he roped one. It was ridiculous. All right, let's move on to the Pirates and the Mets, and this is where. I brought it up. It happened with Syndergaard where he got scratched for a game, and then they moved him back one day like it was going to help. And I know that Jacob deGrom was dealing with it was like a little blister or something. So I don't know if it's the same effect that you're looking at for what Syndergaard was dealing with. But I don't know. I always get concerned, and it makes me shy away. So there's 2 trains of thought here. In GPPs, will the ownership be a little bit lower? I mean, you're still paying a hefty price tag for deGrom. Or secondly, I know the Pirates stack won all the cash the other night. Was that 2 nights ago? Do you look at stacking against deGrom here? So I don't have the implied run total yet. Waiting for Vegas to put that out. But give me your take on the Mets. And Michael Conforto has been red hot as well. If you're talking about stacking these lefties, I know a lot of people love to do that with the Mets.
Mets should be a popular stack. I mean, Chad Kuhl's he's had some control issues, but he can strike him out. He's been killing himself getting out the game early with the pitch counts and men on base getting up runs. So I obviously do like the Mets stack. I mean, the lefties, Conforto, Bruce, Granderson, Asdrubal, Cabrera, all high quality plays. I'm not fond of Conforto's prices. He's getting up there with the Bryce Harpers and the Mike Trouts. I'm not really sure if I want to pay that much for him. I mean, if you're doing a full team stack, sure. Lately, the Pirates have been hot. I know they just came from a hitter's park, and they're going to be back in PNC, but they look real good. And I mean, I'm not really sure how to take DeGrom lately. I saw that he was pushed back just because of the weather, but he has had some injury issues. So they could be a sneaky stack, but I'm not too high on them particularly.
Yeah, and with Conforto, you start comparing it because I know when I was looking at the numbers today and I saw Adam Frazier did end up hitting a 3-run homer, but his price was the same as Nelson Cruz of the Mariners, and Cruz was facing a lefty, and his numbers against lefties are absolutely absurd. They both end up hitting, I think, 3-run homers, but just kind of crazy to think about, like when you look at these numbers going up and down as far as price tag goes, and if you start comparing Conforto to Harper and Trout and some of these other guys, whether it's a couple $100 here or there, I think I'd rather pay up for the other guys. Doesn't mean Conforto's a bad player or anything like that, but as you said, if you're stacking, it's one thing, but that price tag's pretty hefty.
Yeah, he's up to $3,700 now. I'm not sure if I could pay that for him for how hot he's been, but I mean, especially going against DeGrom, but it's going to be tough not to pay for him.
Now, do you play both FanDuel, DraftKings, all over the place, or are you primarily FanDuel?
FanDuel, I don't like the 2-pitcher. Not fond of that.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth at my radio station. I endorse FanDuel, and once they started the merger, I felt comfortable enough to start dabbling in some DraftKings stuff, and it's definitely a different feel. I do think DraftKings kind of fixes the price tag a little bit more than what FanDuel does, but obviously it feels like a totally different game when you got to pick two pitchers.
I use DraftKings solely for EPL play. That's the only thing I do over there.
You getting into WNBA on FanDuel?
Yeah, I've actually had some success. I've cashed, what is it now, 4 out of 6, and I want a WNBA subscription.
Well, I'm
not sure I'll ever use it, but I got one.
I don't know what you do with that. That's a regift around Christmas time or something. But Ben
told me once or twice he's been watching WNBA. Told him he could have it.
Yeah, Ben. It's so funny because Ben's been killing it on there with the WNBA, man. He said you got to get on it. I played like the free rolls that were given to me, and I was pretty upset because I had a great lineup, and then one of the girls got scratched before the game for no apparent reason. I didn't have time to change it. So, but anyway,
it's about knowing the unknown. Like I got a girl the other day who's supposed to be one of their main ones coming back from injury. I got her 1.8% at 3,100, and she dropped like 30 for me.
See, that's killer.
You just got to find the little ins and outs.
Yeah,
but it's minutes in production, just like NBA.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game. It's the Reds at the Phillies. Phillies were just getting mollywopped for 3 games in a row against the Rockies. Settled down today. They end up getting a win in a low-scoring game. It's Aaron Nola. The Phillies have an implied run total of 5 runs against the Reds, who have an implied total of 4-point runs. That's Tim Adelman. Tell me what you think about these pitchers, and when do we finally see these Phillies bats get going again?
I think you finally see the Philly bats get going here. Adelman's not very good, in my opinion. I mean, his stuff's mediocre. His K upside's limited. He is prone to give up the home run ball, 1.8. I like their lefties a lot. Herrera, switch hitter Galvis. A cheap play at catcher, especially if he's in the 6-7 hole. I don't mind. Is it Knapp? K-N-A-P-P?
Yeah.
I don't mind. Joseph, I believe he's starting to get on a little bit of a heater here lately. No, he's not. He's coming off a heater. I'm sorry. So he'll be fine that soon. Votto's your cash play. I do think Nola can do well here. I like his potential and his stuff. So Votto and Hamilton are about my only 2 concerns. Schebler at times is not a bad play with upside, but I do like Nola a little bit here for GPP.
All right. Let's move on to the next game. It's Rangers and Jays. The Blue Jays have been they've been on a bit of a heater here, winning some ball games. And, Jose Bautista, Joey Bats got his bat working a couple weeks ago. But when you look at this team, finally now getting healthy, and we should see Donaldson back here relatively soon, Tulowitzki. That could be a huge bolster for this offense. But they have an implied run total. You mentioned a bunch of teams over 5. They're at 5.1. The Rangers are at 4.5. It's A.J. Griffin for the Rangers, Mike Bolsinger for the Blue Jays, 2 right-handers. in years past, looking at the Blue Jays, anytime they were facing a lefty, I was all over it. I mean, when they had Edwin Encarnacion in the lineup, and
Griffin's a righty.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I'm getting ready to transition that. But whenever they would face a lefty, I was all over them. But I don't know how you feel about this team this year, because they still haven't been mashing lefties the way they did in years past. But a couple of interesting pieces, a few switch hitters right in the middle of the lineup with the way Smoke's been hitting the ball and Kendrys Morales. And then you also throw in Ezekiel Carrera, who's been playing a lot more with some of the injuries they've had. And then you look at Texas side of things. I mean, they got an implied run total of 4.5 against Bolsinger, who's nothing to write home about. Where are you looking on both these sides?
I will have a Toronto Blue Jay stack. If there's someone who's going to compete for the highest fly ball rate, it's AJ Griffin, and I will tell you right now, Smoke and Batista will be part of my Blue Jay stack tomorrow. I mean, Batista's hot. You have to ride it. Smoke is a very sneaky play at 3,300. People don't seem to be on him much. His price has actually dropped, and he's been playing really well since May 14th.
You prefer Smoke over Morales?
Yeah, I think so. As a switch hitter.
Yeah,
I think so. Especially in that 6-hole, people want to go 1 through 5 most times. Ryan Goings is a very cheap play, especially if you're going to take Scherzer, 2,600 at second base, who's been pretty hot. I think Toronto might be my favorite stack tomorrow, to be honest.
Yeah. What about Devin Travis? I know you're talking about this is a guy whose bat's kind of heated up here as recent. I know his price tag is going up as well.
I don't mind Travis. I like Goings because he's second base eligible and he's a lot cheaper. I mean, if you can afford Travis, by all means, but I'll probably go Goings just because of his price.
You looking at Texas at all here? Any of the lefty bats there?
I think you got to look at them a little bit. This series is going to be heated. I mean, coming off the punch the last time they saw each other.
I didn't even think about that. That's funny.
Odor, he's going to homer in this series at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow.
You think anybody gets plunked?
Yeah, there's going to be a couple. Over and under is probably about 3 beanballs in this.
Well, I told you, I'm in Baltimore. We hate the Blue Jays. We just got into that bean war with the Red Sox and all the BS when they kept throwing at Manny Machado and fans weren't happy here. And then you saw the Blue Jays went down to Atlanta, and then there again they hit Batista and things were going crazy. Pilar got suspended for dropping a derogatory term, and it's just there's just always something with this Blue Jays team, and obviously the history here between these two teams. I don't think they've seen each other since the punch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I like Odor. Gallo's your GPP play. His price is down a little bit. You're either going to get a home run or you're going to get a strikeout, so don't expect anything outside of that. But I'm not really big in the Texas offense. They kind of look a little lost at times.
No question. All right, well let's move on. Highest implied run totals in this game, I believe 5.6 for the Red Sox. It's Eduardo Rodriguez against the Mariners here. Yovani Gallardo. I think Gallardo's. I think he's trash. He walked way too many guys. I can't stand him. We had him here in Baltimore, and every time I watched him pitch, he made me pull my hair out. And it's not like he was the worst pitcher on the staff. It's just he continues to – you're going to hit his pitch. It drove me nuts. But anyway, that's neither here nor there with daily fantasy. But implied run total of 4 runs for Seattle. I brought up Nelson Cruz and his price tag, how it had dipped down on DraftKings. But, it's a home run today. He absolutely mashes left-handers. Robinson Cano's back in the lineup. He actually hits lefties okay, but depending on where you're looking, I think Gene Segura is one of the guys that's often underlooked, but I'm sure the Red Sox are going to be extremely popular tomorrow. You like any Mariners? You own any of these Red Sox?
Cruz is my one-off. I'm a huge Hoosier fan, so I'm going to lock Sam Travis in a line tomorrow just because I love Sam Travis that much.
And real quick, because a lot of people that out there, I think they're going to forget about him, and we'll see where he's hitting in the lineup. But Sam Travis is a guy that big prospect for the Red Sox. Got a lot of opportunities here to hit for some pop, and Gallardo may be the right guy for him to face as well to knock one out in his first, major league game.
Yeah, I watched him at IU with Schwarber in those years, bat in the middle of that lineup, no gloves, and he's going to hit the ball a mile if he gets a hold of it. I think he went first game, so he's making solid contact. I think he'll adjust pretty well. I don't think he'll be a huge superstar, but a high quality product.
And he's going to be dirt cheap tomorrow.
He's 2,300 at first base. I still think he's more GPP than cash, though.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to take him just personally because I feel like I have to. Like I did Schwarber when I first slate I played with him, so I'm going to with Travis. Segura and Cruz are my 2 one-offs. They get the right-left matchup, top of the order, so they get the extra bat on the road. I'm not a huge believer in Rodriguez, but he does have some K potential there. So he's a quality GPP pitcher, especially at 8,700. Not a bad price. I prefer to pay down for GPPs at pitching.
Yeah, Valencia is another guy that hits lefties pretty well, but I don't know. I have a hard time unless I'm just trying to fit something in. You talked about Sam Travis and how cheap he is, but trying to fit Valencia into a lineup here as well. He's got phenomenal numbers, or at least he has in years past against left-handers.
Every time I like Valencia, he doesn't start, so I've just stopped looking at Valencia at times. About 3 times I liked him, and once he went to the DL, and the other 2 he just was a not starting.
On the Red Sox side of things, because I mean, as far as cash tournaments, I mean, they're going to be very chalky. Are you stacking them up at all, or are you staying away from that?
As far as
the Red Sox lineup in general,
I think you can stack them up fine tomorrow if you want to some reason not go Max Scherzer in cash. Red Sox are your next stop. I mean, Pedroia, Betts, Bogarts, Ramirez, all quality numbers throughout their career versus Gallardo. I think they're all top plays tomorrow. A little bit of speed on base. Bogarts had a hell of a game today. So, yeah, I think Benintendi, if you're doing a Boston stack, he's a lock. He destroys right-handed batting. He's absolutely a monster against right-handed.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Angels and Marlins. Did you have something else on the Red Sox?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Angels and Marlins. Sorry, a little bit of rain expected in this game, so you have to keep your eye on that. It's virtually a pick-em type game. Dan Straley does have the high strikeout upside, but the Angels don't strike out as much. I think you'd like throwing Straley out there. The Marlins have a 4.4 implied run total, and the Angels are at 4.2. It's Jesse Chavez. You're looking at either one of these pitchers, GPP, and I know Cameron Maybin got hurt today, so you may want to check the lineup on that to see who's leading off, if he's back in the lineup. And obviously Trout's always in play.
I'm not touching Chavez. Straley, I'll look at tomorrow a little more in depth, but I'm not too fond of his price. Trout, I actually like a Miami stack tomorrow. Bohr, Yelich, Gordon. You see where Real Muto is tomorrow? He's up in that 2-hole. You got to lock him at 2,900 for a catcher.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to play max, that's extremely good price for a catcher at that. There's a couple of Angels I like. Marte, Crone, obviously Trout. They all stand out. I think they're quality looks that if you're looking to get a little risky in a GPP, but I don't like much else there. Maybe Valbuena at the stretch.
Is Crone back up? Didn't they send Crone down on Monday? Or I thought they may have sent him down this week. It was.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong one. I get them mixed up. I meant Calhoun.
Calhoun, okay.
I get them mixed up together all the time.
Hey, I do it all the time. So, it's you look at this Angels lineup, and it was very wanting today. The hell they had Andrelton Simmons batting cleanup for him, and I think Valbuena was hitting third, and Valbuena can in any game can poke one out. I've seen him get on a couple heaters and hit a few homers in a week. But
Valbuena has a game or two against Straley from his Cubs days against the Reds.
So you've seen him before?
Yeah, it's just 2 for 3, so probably just the game. Or no, he's 0 for 2 in 3 at bats with a walk.
All right. Well, yeah, I know. Always trying to find that sneaky stack, and you said you do like the Marlins here. You think
they'll be under-owned?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
They're always under.
Where do you sit with Stanton? I mean, you want the lefty bats. Are you keeping him out of your stack? You putting him in there?
It's always hard to leave Stanton out. Lately, so I'm not. I like to write Stanton when he's high. when he's going to poke out a few, like 5 in like 10 games, that's when I like to try to get on Stan. And lately it's either been a strikeout or a single for the most part. I mean, he's had a good game here or there, so I probably won't include him. In that game, it'll be him, and I think you'll get the lefties a little cheaper.
All right. Another game we don't have the implied run totals. It's the Royals and the Indians. It's Ian Kennedy taking on Mike Clevenger. This Royals team, a lot of opportunities here for one-offs. Salvador Perez was pretty hot at the beginning of the week. Mike Moustakas, another guy that can clearly knock one out. I know Ben, we talk about this all the time. He always has an Indian stack. That's his team. That's the one. That's his go-to. Give me your thoughts on the bats and the Indians lineup. I don't know if you like either one of these pitchers. Kennedy's one of those guys that does have the high strikeout upside, but a little nerve-wracking going up against an Indians lineup, especially at home.
I do like Clevenger a little bit for GPP. I liked him the other day, and I backed off because it's Mike Clevenger, and then he went out and threw a gym. Who was that against? I think it was against the Astros, and that's what scared me.
He looks like Colby Rasmus's dirty cousin.
Yeah, he dropped. Yeah, he does. I think the Indians do get to the Kennedy here. I like it. I'm a Cubs fan, and I want to hate the Indians, but they've been nice because of Ben and DFS. But it sucks living in the Cleveland area and hear about them.
Oh, you're in the Cleveland area?
Yeah, I'm stationed here. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's always cold. Carlos Santana. I love Carlos Santana almost every day. He's hard not to roster. Kipnis, I have a lot of love for Kipnis, being a Chicago boy. I like him. It was hard watching him lose in the World Series, but I won't have any KC at all tomorrow. I'm not high on their bats, so I'm not rostering Salvador Perez. So you guys should, because he seems to hit a home run when I don't. Yeah, that's about it. I know we're covering Friday, but everyone should know Ramirez has a bobblehead day Saturday, I believe.
All right.
So just note that in there for you guys.
Get your Jose Ramirez bobblehead. So are you, since you're in Cleveland, are you pulling for the Cavs?
No. I lost a bet a few years ago to a buddy because James Harden couldn't win a series against the Warriors, and I am honoring my bet and a Warriors fan.
Oh.
But I'm not too heavily invested in the NBA.
Okay. I'm a big NBA fan. Well, I'm a big NBA fan. I think I hate saying it because if CG's listening, but the Cavs to me it's fool's gold, man. They've been beaten up on bad, banged up teams. I don't think their defense is fixed, and I feel like they've been fortunate with the matchups they've gotten. They've done that. Look, they've done everything they're supposed to do, winning every game except for one. That being said, I just think the Warriors are a terrible matchup.
I got Warriors in 7 simply because of home court, and I have 4 games going over the 238 over and under.
I got the Warriors in 5.
A bloodbath of offense.
Yeah, I wasn't joking in our little group chat when I said Warriors in 5. I just think they're going to – I mean, even the games in Cleveland this year, and I know it's regular season, it came down to the wire for Cleveland to even have a shot to win those, and they still had to come back in that game. So, I'm not buying into them. But anyway, back to baseball. So Indian stack is in play, and then you were talking about your one-offs. You said you're not playing Perez, which means play him. So that must be one of your kryptonites then. Everybody's got a few guys that every time they play him, it never works out.
It seems that I avoided him this past doubleheader on the 21st because I had just rostered him the day before and got 6 points the 2 days prior. He was in decent spots, and then he goes off for 40.9 and 25.2. I hate rostering the guy. Yeah. I hate it.
Let's move on to my hometown team, the Baltimore Orioles. They're facing the Houston Astros. It's Joe Musgrove versus Kevin Gausman. As we were talking, Gausman's been absolutely dreadful. He's had one decent start this year, and that was against the White Sox. And he can't find the strike zone, and then all of a sudden he starts losing. He leaves his breaking ball, ends up hanging out, catching too much of the plate. It is horrendous. His ERA is even uglier. His ERA is almost twice what it was last year. And you start looking at these numbers about putting guys on and giving up the long ball. It's a dreadful matchup, and the Orioles are on a 3-game losing streak. Houston has an implied run total of 5. The Orioles at 4.1. You're looking at these Oriole bats, and I tell people all the time, so you got a righty on the mound, which means Seth Smith's leading off. If you do happen to get a Hyun-Soo Kim in the lineup, those guys will be pinch hit for come the 7th inning. or a defensive replacement, I should say, not necessarily pinch hit for, because if the Orioles do have a lead, that's what's going to happen. It always does. So you may get limited at bats. Manny Machado's in some kind of funk right now where the power numbers have been there, but his batting average is way down, and he's been getting killed here on local radio for not running out baseballs and not being there mentally. But this Astros lineup has just been crushing it the past few days.
Astros, obviously, love the Astros. I like the
wind's blowing out too.
1 through 6. It's a good play for them. Beltran's probably my favorite. Him and Reddick. I know most people would say, what about Springer, Altuve, Correa? They're all good. They're all high quality. Beltran seems to have his number. He's has good career numbers, and I just like rostering Josh Reddick.
Gausman's a reverse split guy too. I should bring up, Gausman he's one of those reverse split guys where righties tend to hit him hard too. So it's not just a lefty-righty matchup. Looking at some of the lineups, it wouldn't bother me at all in this game playing any of those guys you mentioned from Houston.
No, not at all. I like 1 through 6 for them.
Mm-hmm.
Beltran has familiarity with him from his Yankee days. I like that. A guy who knows what he's doing. He's 2,900. Josh Reddick has done well for me lately. He seems to grade out well for me in my model. I don't mind taking him. He can get on base. You might get occasional stolen base, but he's that good single, double, and he'll score you the runs. But he won't give you that big bat that you need for a GPP, so I don't mind him for a cash play potentially for a one-off. Chris Davis, I hate recommending him because you're either going to get a 450-foot shot or you're going to get a sombrero.
He's so hard to play in cash. I mean, I don't think you can. He's got to be a GPP play.
I'd never touch him in cash, but GPP, I think he's a quality play. He's coming off a home run game, so he tends – I don't know. You tell me. Looking at his game logs, when he finds a home run, he tends to ride it out a few games and then just disappear.
That's what happened. So when they were on the road and they were playing the Tigers, he hit a couple out, and he kind of got on this streak where things were looking great, and then he came back home against the Twins, and the first 2 games he did nothing, and then he pops the home run out, yesterday, and fans were getting on him because he had a 6-pitch at bat where he didn't take the bat off his shoulder. He got it to 3-0 and then looked at 3 straight pitches down the middle. He's 40% of his strikeouts are looking. So sometimes he goes up there looking for the walk, but when he gets on these heaters, you definitely want to jump on. He can hit, it doesn't matter lefty, righty. Once he makes contact, it's going a long way.
Since the 8th of May, he's had 2 games that he hasn't struck out in. One he didn't play, and the other he hit 2 home runs in it. So, and he had 3 walks. So he's GPP big boomer bust. I won't play him.
What do you think of Musgrove?
I actually do like Musgrove a little bit here. I mean, I recommended.
Go ahead.
Some Baltimore bats, but I do like Musgrove for a potential GPP. I mean, he's got some upside looking at his game logs for his price. Wouldn't expect any 50, 60 performances out of him, but he's got potential there. He's coming off of a shit game where he didn't score any points, but prior to that, I mean, he's had some pretty good outings against some pretty solid teams.
Well, let me do a little bit here with the Orioles, because last time they went to Houston, they broke the record for strikeouts in a series. They struck out more times than any team has struck out in a 3-game series, and I think in the history of the league. That was last season. And they posted double-digit strikeout games for starting pitchers on numerous occasions, including one recently against Marco Estrada, who, look, he can get you 6-7 strikeouts in a game. It's not uncommon, but he had his career high in strikeouts facing the Orioles. So these guys are swinging and missing. But the big scare is, if they have one of those innings where they all tend to get a hold of one.
My problem with Musgrove is it's simply innings. I mean, he's went 7. He hasn't went 7 this year. He's went 7 since last year, and about that 6 they started pulling. He's went over at once. So innings is an issue, but the strikeout potential is definitely there for me.
Well, let's move on and talk about the Tigers and White Sox game too, because this is a difficult one to kind of discuss. Right now they have Matt Boyd and Tyler Danish listed. Anything could happen as far as tweaking the starting pitchers with a doubleheader if they want to change the matchup for whatever reason, and they are expecting rain in Chicago. You got the Tigers with a 4.9 implied run total, the White Sox at 4.7. They're expecting a lot of runs in this game. I think you can pretty much stack it up any way you want. What are your thoughts on the Tigers' bats? I mean, JD Martinez, when he came off the DL, was on an absolute heater. Victor Martinez has been crushing the baseball. And if these guys are healthy, I mean, I was listening to Miguel Cabrera talk a little bit today, still waiting him to kind of get going. But on the flip side, the White Sox could be an interesting stack there as well against Matt Boyd, because there's some pretty intriguing right-handed bats in that White Sox lineup.
Abreu's hot, so you play Abreu if you can afford him. JD Martinez is hot. I'm going to keep rostering JD Martinez. Who's the pitcher for the evening? Is it that?
Tyler Danish is what it says.
Who you have?
Tyler Danish.
And
I got to be honest with you, I don't know anything about him. I feel like I follow this game and know most of the starting pitchers, but Danish is that does not ring a bell for me at all.
In
the early game,
Farmer.
In the early game I have Buck Farmer and Mike Pelfrey. So
that's why it's pulling me both of them here.
Yeah.
Hey, you knock that shit off. Yeah, I don't know anything about the other guy. Hate how they allow this to sort on here.
Well, and looking at Todd Frazier's an interesting guy as well. He hit a home run. I think the White Sox were out in Arizona. Everybody was stacking up Arizona. I was on a little mini White Sox stack, which worked out one night, but I didn't have the rest of the pieces to help me take down any GPPs. But you mentioned Abreu, Avisail Garcia. Any of these guys outside of Abreu floating your boat?
They're always low owned. Saladino, he's a cheap play to fit you in. Scherzer, Anderson's another cheap quality play. I'm not a huge Boyd fan. I mean, the strikeouts could be there. On the bats, Alex Avila, especially if he's up in that 2 hole, I think you have to definitely look at him. JD Martinez is on fire. Castellanos always seems to be the low-end Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why, considering he's the cheap Tiger and normally produces well. I wouldn't mind you game stacking this here. I mean, it could have some potential, especially at almost 10 runs total. So it's probably your sneaky game stack.
All right. Let's move on. Diamondbacks at the Brewers. Brewers are always a fun team trying to figure out what they're going to do because, they do have the high strikeout upside facing them. Zach Godley's on the mound. I don't know if he interests you at all. Arizona has an implied run total of 4.5. The Brewers are at 4.6. They throw Junior Guerra. I'm not looking at either one of these pitchers. I was intrigued a few starts ago with Godley because it was a bad slate, and you're trying to find some value, and he's a guy that, at each level, when you thought he wasn't going to succeed, he actually started to have some success. But I don't know on this slate I'm looking at him at all. The Arizona bats, everybody loves them. Do you feel like people are going to jump off of them because they're not at home, they're on the road, kind of? If you want to call Arizona Coors Light, we do have Coors Field action. We'll get to that shortly. But do you think Arizona would be an interesting stack, and are you looking at any of these Brewers?
If there's anyone that's hotter than JD Martinez, it's probably Jake Lamb right now. The guy is he's unreal right now. He's going to be hard not to use against Junior Guerrera. Another cheap one-off that you might want to look at, especially if he's leading off, is Gregor Blanco against Guerrera. I'm not a big Guerrera fan. I know the Cubs have touched him up.
They also have Raymond Fuentes. Do you like him at all? Because he's dirt cheap as well. He's a lefty.
Pitching?
What's that?
Wait, who'd you say?
Raymond Fuentes. He's the guy that the other night when everybody was expecting Gregor Blanco to be leading off, they went with Fuentes for whatever reason, but he was like 2.2K on FanDuel.
I don't mind them. They're the same price. Blanco grades out a little bit better for me, but they're pretty much the same. Peralta's a really good play against Guerrero. I do like the Diamondback stack. The Brewers just seem to be sneaky good. Sogard, he's a cheap shortstop, left-hander. Godley does have a little bit of upside because I think Ray had 9-10 strikeouts tonight against them. I know Ray stuffs a little bit better, but the Brewers swing for the fences.
Yeah, they steal bases, hit home runs, and strike out.
I don't like rostering Eric Phams, so I don't.
Yeah.
I think the hype, he had a good little stretch there, but the hype's gone. So I think I've rostered him once this year, and I probably won't again the rest of the year, to be honest.
All right. Let's move on to the Rays and Twins. Chris Archer, big price tag, another big name pitcher against this Twins team who I just saw come and run roughshod over my Baltimore Orioles, making a lot of contact. And I don't know how you feel about the Twins. And a lot of people, I mean, they lost over 100 games last year, and now they come back this year. And seems like there's some interesting stacks in that lineup. But Hector Santiago, lefty's going for the Twins. Rays, they can strike out quite a bit. And I know a lot of times when people are targeting some of the Rays bats, they'll look at the lefties, but not in this situation against Santiago, in my opinion. But look forward to hearing your take. As the Rays have an implied run total of 4.6 runs, they're a 130 favorite over the Twins with their implied run total of 4.
Yeah, give me some Rays tomorrow. They'll probably be some of the low guys that you see mix up with Scherzer going against the left-hander. Sorry, I got to fill them out here.
No, I mean, you got
2,400 with home run pop. Beckham's cheap. Longoria, he's underpriced in my opinion. He's cheap.
Ricky Weeks. You looking at
2,400. Yeah, he's probably the top rate for me at a right-hander. I won't touch either pitcher. I know it's Chris Archer and there's some K upside. I'll give him more of a look, but overall, I'm not gaining that interest in him right now. I just see so many Ks. About the only I see that's real troubling is Kepler, maybe Dozier, but I'll look more into Archer. I don't have enough feel for him right now. I won't touch Santiago. The Rays will be a good cheap low end stack, probably a 3-man.
All right.
For me.
Let's. What about the Twins side? You like anybody there?
Kepler's probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I like rostering Kepler a lot. He's fun to roster, and they keep him cheap. Guy with some pop, and then you can always keep him around the 3,000. He just doesn't seem to waver much, so he's got the double dong upside. He's got the grand slam upside.
He's got protection in that lineup and guys that'll take pitches as well, you know. So you talk about grand slam upside. Those guys in front of them will get on base. I mean, they go the opposite way. They'll take the walk when it's there. They're very patient.
Yeah, it's really nice having someone like Joe Mauer hitting in front of you and a big bat like Sano. But Archer seems to have done pretty well against this lineup. I mean, he's got some K upside to him. I mean, he struck out Castro, Dozier, and Cano over 17 times combined.
Well, could be interesting. You know, and I agree with you. It's not something I would typically target there. I'd rather pay a little bit more and get Scherzer and try to spend down on some bats than go at Archer, especially Scherzer being at home.
I could see him being a little more chalkier in GPPs just because he is cheaper.
Yeah.
To pivot off that.
All right. Let's move on to Coors, and I've got this weird relationship with Coors Field because I'm an ultra contrarian, which means I'm always trying to find value and where sometimes there is no value. And a lot of times I fade Coors Field, which there have been a few days. It's a small amount that I felt good about it. More times than not, I sick to my stomach. But Carlos Martinez, so you got a power arm going to Coors Field, 5.6 runs implied total for the Cardinals, and it's 5 runs for the Rockies. It's Antonio Senzatella. You tell me, what are your thoughts with some of the stacks here? And do you ever use pitchers at Coors?
I will occasionally. Depends. Actually, one of my favorite to use is Sentazala or Sentazatella, however you say his name. He's a hometown kid.
Yeah.
K upside's a little limited, but one of the rules I followed for the last few years is fade Coors first game back. It's first game for both of them. They'll adjust. So I probably won't touch either. I will look at Sense a little bit more tomorrow. I do like Martinez a lot. I think the upside's there with this. I know they've been hot, so I know there's risk, so it's a GPP, but where they coming back from Philadelphia and into Denver, and then Cardinals are traveling into Denver. I just like fading the first game, almost always. And since he's a hometown boy, so pitching up there doesn't bother him.
Yeah.
Stuff like spin like Kershaw did or Mike Hampton, where they lose that up there. So he's
An interesting play. Are you looking at any of these bats at all? Is it a full fade for you, or
I
'cause the
personally
prices
full
are increasing?
fade. I wouldn't see. It'll carry ownership tomorrow, so I definitely like fading it. Price and get a piece or two of course, but
Yeah.
Dexter Fowler's returning home, so he's probably not a terrible play because he's played there before, so he knows what he's doing. But I'll fade it. I mean, I won't blame you guys if you stack it, but for me, it's a fade.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick for people that are looking at it, I mean, the Cardinals, Jerko has reverse splits. He hits righties pretty hard, a fly ball guy. Piscotty, he's got some pop in the bat as well. And you mentioned Dexter Fowler going back to Colorado. Interesting enough. And Charlie Blackmon, when we talk about the studs in this game, and I don't care if it's at Coors. I mean, it's obviously better if it's there or it's away. He just constantly puts up numbers. I don't think he had a great game today, but every time I feel like I'm looking at trying to decide between some of these top bats, he's a guy that I feel like more people would rather go with a Trout, with a Harper, or whatever, and I get all that, but Blackmon's consistently doubles, triples, homers, whatever.
Paying $5K for him's tough.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. My top four for each team is Carpenter, Fowler, Peralta, and Molina, maybe. No, Jerko, Molina. And then for Colorado, Blackmon, Reynolds, Parra, and Arenado is probably, I hate saying it being a Cubs fan, but man, he might be the best third baseman in baseball. It's tough.
Machado guy here we kind of like, but anyway, it was so funny. They were
Bryant guy's pretty good too.
Yeah, he's okay. I don't know about defensively. What do you think of him defensively? You like Bryant?
Oh, I do, but I still think Baez is the best defensive player in baseball. Did you see his throw today?
I didn't, but I could sit here and show you about 50 Machado throws. Yeah.
Give me Baez over Machado on the defense every day.
I
love it. It's a magician out there, man.
Great. You got to be kidding me here with that. I don't think anybody has the arm Machado has. It's absurd.
I've never seen Machado tag somebody out without looking. I'm just going to throw that one out there.
Tag him without looking. I've seen Machado throw somebody out from the other dugout. It's so at first base.
Machado's good.
Yeah, but neither here nor there. Let's get to your Cubbies because they got an interesting matchup because Alex Wood has kind of become a little bit of a darling over the past few weeks with his high K upside. He even went in the Coors. We were talking about rostering pitchers at Coors, and God, I mean, he just lit it up. I was surprised that some experts were talking about playing Alex Wood there and did a phenomenal job. Jake Arrieta, know him from his Baltimore days. Give me your thoughts on what's going on with Arrieta. The Cubs, by the way, with an implied run total of 3.7 runs. The Dodgers at 4.4. A lot of interesting lefty bats in that Dodgers lineup. Where are you looking here?
Jake's starting to trend up actually from the visual test. He does have pretty solid numbers against the Dodgers. I'm not high on Alex Wood. I just don't know why. I know it's there. I know he's doing well, but the Cubs offense is starting to come around. I think they scored 5 runs in like their past handful of games. They're starting to come alive. They're starting to hit the ball. I'm not an Alex Wood believer. I think Chris Bryant goes deep. First time they've been back there since they closed out the NLCS. They're starting to vibe in that thing. I follow all their stuff. Madam had them dress in a 70s look or Anchorman look today, so they're starting to have some more fun. Seager's my favorite play in the game off Jake, but I hate recommending a Cub stack because it's a homer call, but yeah. I do like some Cub bats. Rizzo's starting to vibe a little bit. Brian's starting to it's nice. And Ian Happ's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean I like Happ. It was fun rostering him while he was dirt cheap, and then just waiting for that price to go up because you knew everybody was going to have him, especially when you could put a guy like that in the lineup with some of those stud pitchers.
Protect is unreal to have as a rookie.
Yeah, I was going to tell you too, if Javier Baez ever wants to see what a platinum glove looks like, Manny Machado's got one of those. We could show him. You have him come to Baltimore. We could show him what it looks like. But all right, now do you like?
While he's talking, I'm sure Brian will send a picture of that MVP.
Hey, we were talking about defense here for a second. But real
I
quick,
about third baseman, though.
just looking at the Dodgers, power lefty bats there. You mentioned Seager. You on Bellinger, Grandal. I mean, Grandal, it seems like, yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the year, everybody's like, man, this guy's just been dreadful. And then he picked it up and started hitting some bombs, kind of got going. You looking at any of these Dodgers
I
bats?
feel like in that lineup, Grandal should be a 280-plus hitter in that lineup. I just don't know how he's not. Yeah, I do like some pieces. What's Jock's status?
Yeah, that's a big issue there, trying to figure out if he's going to play.
Yeah, if Jock's playing, I can't find a for sure status here on him. If he's playing, especially leading off, I don't know how you don't give him a look.
Yeah, I don't have him. I don't have him in the projected lineup, which seems
Seager's
kind of odd with the a lefty power bat against Arrieta.
If you're playing anything out west, Seager has to be a lock. He destroys right-handed bats. It's unreal. Gonzalez, he's too cheap. 2,500 for a first baseman. Stupid cheap. I would look at him. Some Cubs, Zobrist. Schwarber pushed down to that 2-hole. I hated him as a leadoff. He's going to be that 2-hole. I like it, especially on the road. Give me another bat with him. I mean, I think his baseball just finally landed from the other day. But I don't know about much runs out there. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a tougher series just because of the familiarity from the NLCS.
Well, talk to me about the late night hammer, Braves and Giants. I'm always interested when the Braves are at home because that stadium seems like it's built for the bats for whatever reason. Balls are flying out of there. Now you go to the big ballpark, Jaime Garcia and Matt Cain. Giants with a 4.1 run implied total, and the Braves at 4 runs. This may be a pass game for me, but some people like to jump on and have something late to watch along with that Dodgers-Cubs game. Do you think this game will go unnoticed?
I think it'll go unnoticed. I mean, it's the Braves versus the Giants. Not two teams that are really doing much right now. It's hard to like much from this game. The park favors pitchers heavily. I don't know if I'd rather jump off a bridge or recommend Matt Cain or not. I can't decide. Garcia is just a soft tosser, so I don't think he'll give you the K upside you need against the Giants, who seem to hit the ball well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, that game.
There are quite a few lefties in that Giants lineup, though.
Yeah, there is, like Belt and Crawford are both decent plays. Yeah. Posey just has such good numbers against Garcia.
Yeah.
I think he's like 500 in his career, so Posey be a guy I look at. As far as the Braves, the lefties, Matt Adams seems to love being on this Braves lineup. He's doing quite well. And another cheap play is Jace Peterson if you want to look there.
Yeah.
But there's not much I like here, man, to be honest.
All right. Well, let's recap everything. Give me a couple of your favorite stacks for today. And I know we were looking at the high implied run totals. I mean, there were a bunch of them on this slate that you could look at, including, the Red Sox. I know you said the Jays were kind of sneaky. Well, I don't need to say it for you. Tell me who you like.
I like the Jays still. The Yankees will be a little bit sneaky. I'm full fade on the first game in course. I typically am. Stack for me is Detroit and Chicago White Sox.
All right.
That's pretty much about it.
Well, what we do at the end of this thing is we play our little game, just looking for, guys that are going to have great games, hit a dong, whatever it may be. And we typically take 2 players. So whoever goes first obviously picks first. The next person picks 2, and it comes back, a little snake draft. It's your first time here, so with me at least, I'll let you pick first if you like.
I said it in the podcast, Joey Batista. He's hot. Okay. He's going to hit one.
Joey Bats. All right. And I hate doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm going Carlos Correa against my hometown guys, the Orioles. I don't like the way they look right now, and I think there's gonna be a ton of runs scored in that game. And if we're looking elsewhere, I'm gonna go Jose Abreu in game 2. I think that's another one that goes yard against Matt Boyd. Who you like? You there? Did we lose you? I think we may have froze Billy out. Well, that's it for us, though. We'll have to get Billy's other pick and put it up online. Jeremy Kahn here, of course, and we'll be back on, I think, Sunday night and the Monday morning, putting up our picks here for the Monday slate. And we got him back. There he is.
Yeah, everything just shut down on me. I'm not sure why.
Hey, it's happened a couple times. So I took Carlos Correa and Jose Abreu. So we were waiting on your last pick.
Oh, let me look here. I don't want to be cheap here and just take Cruz because he's there.
You can. You can go real cheap if you want.
Let's go with Jose Abreu tomorrow.
I just took him. You can't take him.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
I'll go Cruz because of this technical difficulty throwing me off.
It's all right. Hey, man, trust me, it happens. Don't sweat it. It actually happened to me. I felt terrible because I'm the one here supposed to be hosting and driving this thing, and I conked out, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, and I was able to get back in, and it was just me and Ben, so he had to ramble for a while. But anyway, hey, Billy, it's been a good time going back and forth with you here. I'll send you some pictures of Machado so you can see him in action. That's one of the best players in football. You can have that MVP trophy in the National League, but with Mike Trout in the American League, and then there's a handful of other guys. There's a lot of competition over here.
Oh yeah. How about this? I'll give Trout I'll give Machado 5 votes a day if he has a better fantasy production day than Bryant.
All right.
Tomorrow for a week. I'll give him five a week.
Sounds good for me, man. I like it.
Give Bryant 5 a week if he gets
it. I'll get online. Even if you want me to get the thing, I'll punch the Chads. I'll take those little things out and vote for them. But it's been a lot of fun, man. You got some good information over there, and tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter.
Cubbable Hoosier. I'm always tagged in the DRS stuff. You'll find me.
Yeah, I see you out there, and I'm at Jeremy Con 1057. So hopefully we get a chance to do this again next week. It's been fun. Good luck in your games tomorrow, man.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks.